Kata Busha for Friday Buddha. Kata Busha Pra Ramperng. And this Buddha image is an image of a standing Buddha with both arms folded across the chest in Thai Buddhism, and is allocated to those born on a Friday. And it goes like this, slowly, very first. First, very slowly. Abp-Bpasannehi Naatassa Saasane Saatusammadte Amanussanehi Jandehi Sataa Gippi Sagaaripi Bparisaananja Dtassannang Mahingsaaya Kudt-Dtiya Yantesehi Mahaawiiro BpariddtandtampanamaheIn. A very difficult one to pronounce, yeah. One more time. Abp-Bpasannehi Naatassa Saasane Saatusammadte Amanussanehi Jandehi Sataa Gippi Sagaaripi Bparisaananja Dtassannang Mahingsaaya Kudt-Dtiya Yantesehi Mahaawiiro BparidtandtampanamaheIn. Yeah, and I do that one more time, a little bit more fast and fluently. Abp-Bpasannehi Naatassa Saasane Saatusammadte Amanussanehi Jandehi Sataa Gippi Sagaaripi Bparisaananja Dtassannang Mahingsaaya Kudt-Dtiya Yantesehi Mahaawiiro BpariddtandtampanamaheIn. And that is a kata for Friday Buddha, yeah, which is a standing Buddha with both arms folded across the chest, which is known in Thai as the Pra Ramperng. His feet are placed close together and his arms are across the chest. It actually represents an episode in the life of the Buddha, where two merchants, one named Tapussa and another named Palika, had the same. They saw the newly enlightened Buddha, who was recently enlightened, had made their offerings, and they left. And these were actually the first two laymen who ever became disciples of the Buddha. And so the Lord Buddha, he rose from where he was sitting under the Rajayatana, yeah, the king objects of perception tree, the Rajayatana tree, and he moved to sit under the Abp-Bpasannehi tree, the Nirodha tree. And he spent time considering the wondrous and most subtle Dhamma which he had realized, because he was recently enlightened. He'd only just become enlightened. And he was still in the area of these three trees, one of which he became enlightened under. He then considered, as he was under the Abp-Bpasannehi tree, how difficult it was to understand the Dhamma, and the fact it was almost impossible to grasp for the average mind. And so he then became a little doubtful, and he didn't really think it was worth trying to explain and teach this to human beings, because he didn't think that we could understand how subtle his insight into the Dhamma was, the true Dhamma. And so he decided to himself that he would not teach the Dhamma to others. And at that time, one of the Brahmas, one of the great devas from the higher Brahma realms became aware of what the Lord Buddha was thinking at that time and sent some angels and deities to visit the Buddha under the tree he was sitting and to speak with him. And so they went and paid reverence, for he had become self-enlightened with no Dhamma to teach him. So completely self-enlightened, that's where he's different from us. We have his teachings, he didn't have that. And he became enlightened. We can become enlightened because of his teachings. That's why he is a Sambuddho, Samma Sambuddho, a correctly enlightened Buddha. Not like us, we could be enlightened because he left the Dhamma for us. And so they paid reverence to devas, and they begged the Buddha to, they pleased that he should teach the Dhamma to people, and to teach those who have dust in their eyes. It's a phrase, it means those who are unenlightened, still living in illusory views, and those who are devotees of the Buddha, in the hope that maybe somebody might attain enlightenment. The Buddha then took this into consideration, and thinking of what previous Buddhas had actually done in the past, because he knew what were previously enlightened Buddhas, and he compared how they had dealt with such matters, namely that once they had attained enlightenment and before entering Nibbana, meaning before they died, all of them, or almost all of them, taught and preached the Dhamma and spread it widely for the sake of those who came after them. And so the Buddha then took deep contemplation whether there could be possibly anybody capable of understanding the Dhamma which he had realized through his enlightenment. And he thought of the various people on earth, various characters and all the personalities, including those he knew and those which he didn't personally know, but he could see with his mind, and he knew the different types of minds of humans which exist. And he saw there were people with very rough and coarse minds, average minds, but there were also very fine, subtle minds with good hearts and with meritorious acts performed. And that perhaps some of these might actually indeed be able to attain enough perfections and merits to be finally able to follow the Buddha's footsteps and attain this thing which we call enlightenment, which is actually liberation from the causes of all suffering. And so he saw that some people could be easily taught, but that others could only be taught with great difficulty, and some not at all. And some people could understand, others couldn't understand. And so he compared them to lotus flowers that are born under the water and grow in the water, in the mud. You start in the mud, the lotus flower. When the lotus flower opens, even a fly won't sit on its petals. It's that pure, which is why it's a symbol in Buddhism of purity. And of these three kinds of lotus, he said, some flowers remain under the surface and just die, become fish food. And some come on the surface and rise above. And those which are like the lotus which has risen above the water, some of them will eventually bloom. Some might wither and die before they actually bloom and go back to become fish food. Not certain. But some will receive the sunlight and eventually bloom. And those flowers which bloom, also have variations. Some people will attain the realization of the Dhamma, of the true nature of things, of existence, quickly and easily, because they have a very low amount of cravings and desires, and they've made great merit in life. Others will attain the Dhamma and understanding of it, and to see it with the Dhamma eye, but slowly. And this type of person should still receive repeated lessons of the basic principles in order to help condition the character until his practice is safely ensured and constant, because only then is it ensured arrival at the goal. And this is, I believe, how the Dhamma should be taught, in order to prevent the Buddha's teachings to not be in vain. So the basic Dharma principles should be given to all people, with the exception of those compared to the lotus underwater, which is a waste of time. We call it in English throwing pearls before swine. There were times when the Buddha would not speak, or would just abstain from answering a question because the question it was false in itself, or because there wasn't speaking wouldn't be of no use, and for various reasons he would not speak. And so because there's no point, the person you're talking to will not understand, and things will get worse from trying to explain. So there were times when the Buddha remained silent, as far as I know from the stories and the legends and the sutras. So with the exception of those compared to the lotus underwater, which never rises above the mud, soft lotuses who will eventually become nothing but fish food, one should share the Dhamma. And so the Buddha decided at this point and declared that he would remain on earth as a living human being instead of just disappearing. What's the point in staying alive with this horrible 5 aggregates contained within the human body, which only bring physical suffering, aging, sickness and death, and loss of loved ones, loss of possessions? There's no point. An enlightened being has no reason to keep that. He could just die and go to Nibbana, what we think is go to Nibbana. You don't go anywhere. It's the state of Nibbana. Anyway, when you lose your body and you're enlightened, that is Nibbana. That's for another talk. So the Buddha then decided to stay on earth as a living human being until the day that the Buddha-Sasana, so the Dhamma, was fully explained, which means Buddhism came into existence, the religion. But that's another topic. I would like to stay with that the Buddha said until he had completed all of the 84,000 sutras of the Dhamma, or the complete explanation of the Dhamma, and ensured its survival into the future, that it was founded and fully established to safely survive the passing of time for the sake of all humans who wanted to attempt to enlighten. And in remembrance of the Buddha considering teaching the Dhamma and establishing Buddhism for the sake of all beings everywhere to escape the causes of suffering, this statue in the pose of, or the posture of Pra Ramperng, the posture of consideration, it means the posture of contemplation, considering things, was created. And that is allocated for those people born on a Friday, or for those who pray to Buddha every day. You could use this Buddha on Fridays to pray to and think of this story and the consideration of the mercifulness of the Buddha to remain another 40 years with the suffering body on earth, and to travel round and to spread the Dhamma and establish the Buddha-Sasana, the Buddhist religion, so that for 2,500 years till now, and according to his prophecy another 2,500 years, that the Dhamma and its teachings, for those who can understand it and attain enlightenment, remains available as a source of information and practice on earth. And so that was the Kata, Praประจำวันศุกร์, the Kata for Friday Buddha, and the story of what the image represents, and to help you think about that when you say the Kata, and to be in remembrance of the Buddha's consideration of whether he should immediately leave after enlightenment, or if he should remain in physical suffering for 40 years to share the Dhamma with us all, and to give thanks for his goodness. And who says a bodhisattva can't be a Buddha, because only a bodhisattva would be so selfless to do such a thing. And that's why I say the Buddha is also a bodhisattva. Sajjan Spencer for the Buddha Magic Project, with one more kata tutorial and some Dhamma, a nice Thai Buddhist story as well, to help you for Buddhanussati, a remembrance of Buddha in your practice, and for the Buddha Magic Project, signing off.